Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming out today. We appreciate you being in here. Without further ado, let's get these festivities started for today. We'll start off by introducing Kent State Provost Todd Dyken.
Well, as I stand up here at the podium, I see that we have a shirt that says O'Banion number one, which is what I would say as well. It's my pleasure to be here representing President Lefton, and I'm new myself, and so I'm accustomed to these kinds of press conferences, and certainly am thrilled to speak on behalf of the President of the Kent State family. I met all the candidates for this position, and I first of all want to say that I was very impressed with each of the candidates and with the strength of the field and the really fine people with whom we interacted. And I also want to say that just to emphasize what a great hire that we've made that we're announcing today. I speak from an experience in women's basketball that includes having served for many years as the faculty athletics representative at the University of Tennessee. And in that role, I interacted regularly with Pat Head Summit. Now, Danielle, I'm not saying that we expect you necessarily to become the next Pat Head Summit, but we think you're on your way, and certainly that's a great goal to strive for. So I've been around women's basketball. I've literally worked with the best in college basketball and in women's basketball. We see all the great qualities for that success, for that excellence in Danielle. Very polished, and you'll find that out here in just a moment. Very detail-oriented, has had success at the highest levels, and our athletics director, Joel Nielsen, will explain that in a moment. Really, what's important to me, quite frankly, focused on the student-athlete, focused on the total student-athlete, not just the on-the-court experience, not just the in-the-practice experience, but really on success at life during the university studies, beyond the university after graduation. Danielle made it very clear in her interview that those things are important to her. That was really one of your strengths, and we know you'll bring that experience and passion to the position. So welcome. It's really my great pleasure to be here today, and I'll now turn things over to Joel Nielsen, our Director of Athletics. Thank you,
Thanks, Todd, and good afternoon, everybody. Putting a little pressure on her with Pat Summit right out of the gate. As President Lefton likes to say, it's a great day to be at Kent State, and that comment rings true today. We're here today to announce a new head coach in our women's basketball program and begin the process of transition in this program for our student athletes, staff, alums, and fans. Transition isn't always easy, but from what I've seen in these student athletes and our staff, combined with the leadership of a new head coach, I'm confident we'll experience a transition filled with energy, enthusiasm, and success. I want to take a special moment to thank the women's basketball student athletes for their understanding and support these past 2 weeks. Not 2 weeks, few weeks. The process never seems to go as quickly as any of us would like, but these young ladies stood behind what we were doing and understood that the important thing we did was get the best candidates. Important thing we could do would be to get the best candidates in the pool and then obviously select the right person. Our candidate pool was extensive and diverse. We had conversations with individuals at every level of coaching with almost every level of experience. I want to thank Tom Kleinlein, TK, for doing most of the heavy lifting, what I call the heavy lifting during this search. Without his diligence, the timeline would have been much longer, and I know my hours of sleep would have been much less. Also, I'd like to thank Kathy O'Donnell, Jen Kulix, and other members of our staff who assisted during the search doing background calls and background work. These searches require a lot of teamwork, and we're fortunate to have such a great staff. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce and say a few words about Danielle O'Banion. Danielle O'Banion comes to Kent State, as most of you know, after serving as associate head coach and recruiting coordinator at the University of Memphis. Danielle possesses the characteristics we look for, not only as an institution, but also as a department. She's a very driven person. You'll find that out early. She's someone who's very confident in her abilities and has taken all the necessary steps along this journey to earn this head coaching position. She played Division I basketball at Boston College. She worked with outstanding staffs at nationally prominent women's basketball programs, including Minnesota. She's a winner, and she surrounds herself with winners. It's evident that Danielle is very detail-oriented and deliberate about her actions. She looks to identify extra opportunities that will provide her with a greater network and more experience, as seen in her current role as president of the Black Coaches and Administrators Organization, a group of about 6,000 members. And she's also involved on several committees with the Women's Basketball Coaches Association. In this business, it's important to recruit. She's known as a tireless recruiter and has helped secure several nationally ranked recruiting classes, both at Minnesota and at Memphis. She has recruiting ties to the state of Ohio and the Midwest. Danielle's also a winner. That's important. She went to the NCAA tournament twice as a player at BC, and she's been part of postseason competition for 9 of her 10 years in college coaching. We better go back and look at that 1 year we missed. Including in that run, she's made 1 trip to the NCAA as an assistant at Harvard, 5 at Minnesota, including a Final Four and 2 Sweet 16 berths with the Golden Gophers. And she's been instrumental in assisting Memphis women's basketball to 3 consecutive 20-win season and postseason appearances. Her work with academics, as Todd was talking about, is just part of her DNA. The student athletes at Memphis are setting records for GPA and graduation, and while at Minnesota, Danielle served as the academic liaison, helping to establish women's basketball as the Big Ten leader in academic All-Big Ten honorees. Needless to say, Danielle's a winner, she's a recruiter, she's an academic. She'll be an outstanding leader and role model for our women's basketball program. And it's my pleasure to introduce the new head women's basketball coach at Kent State, Danielle O'Banion. Does anybody have number 1? Okay, it's all yours.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I would hope we would work that out prior to this moment, Joel. You did? Okay. Thanks, TK. I had all my thoughts collected before I came up here, and then someone mentioned Coach Summit. And so what I can promise you is that I know how to call a timeout like she did. And so if I can start there and get close, then we'll all be okay. But I first of all want to say thank you so sincerely for being here for this special moment for me personally and professionally. And I want to thank Dr. Lefton for the opportunity, Dr. Dyken, Joel, TK, for the opportunity to be part of the Kent State family. It's not a situation or an opportunity that I take lightly. I think it's one of the best jobs in the MAC, and we're going to continue to raise the standard and make sure that all of Ohio knows that Kent State is here and here to stay. We're going to flash forward. Our women's basketball team is going to flash forward. We're going to boldly pursue great. And we've talked with our team about what great means. I've told them that we're brainwashing them, so it's a willing exercise. GREAT is an acronym for our family values. We will be gritty. We will be respectful. We will be enthusiastic, we will be accountable, and we will be team-oriented. And we know that when we chase great, that everything will be okay. And when we chase great, we will win championships. And so there really is not a whole lot of extra talking to be done. But if we stay focused on chasing great and flashing forward and boldly pursuing great, we will bring championships back to Kent State. And that's my vow to our community here. I want to make sure I emphasize recruiting is about relationships. And one of the things that drew me to Kent were the outstanding high school coaches and AAU coaches that do outstanding job cultivating the talent here in state. I wanted to be in a situation as a first-time head coach where I could stay local and really take care of home. And that's been important in our stops at Minnesota and certainly at Memphis, taking care of home first. And what's great about Kent is that we can access some of the best talent in the country by hopping in the car. And that's extremely important. I also was drawn to Kent because of the championship tradition. I would be remiss if I didn't credit Coach Lindsay for his tremendous record and for building a strong, strong foundation for the women's basketball program here at Kent State. So I'm appreciative to him because this is a better job because of his work here. I also want to make sure that I give some acknowledgement to the 4 head coaches that I've either played with, played for, or coached with. I've been very fortunate to have outstanding mentors in my life. The relationships aren't over. You're not getting rid of me. But I want to start with Coach Kathy Inglese. She was my head coach at Boston College. I want to also mention Kathy Delaney Smith, who gave me my first opportunity to get into college basketball coaching. Pam Borton, who I was fortunate enough to work with at Minnesota, and certainly Melissa McFerrin over these last 4 years. I want to thank those 4 women for helping me shape my philosophies and values as a coach. With that being said, the most important people in the room are the young ladies here in those lovely TK pullovers that say Kent basketball on them. And I just want to promise you all that we will do all that we can to help you chase great and to accomplish things that you might not even realize are possible for you. And I am so committed to that and so honored to be your coach.